So how will you know about a city if you're not bringing the people together and talking to them?
Or you're a mayor or whatever, your boss is actually the people who are in this room today. And it's not just the people in the city who mess that up, that's the federal government as well. 20,000 people who are unprepared to integrate into a community, dump them into a city of 50,000, you're going to get a reactionary response. Then you demonize the people who have the reactionary response, who say, oh, you're blaming me. They're going to have ill will, in this case, towards the Haitian community.
Man, this guy spits so much facts. I wish he was a Republican nominee, but I don't know. I guess he's because he's Indian. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big Blue, and we're back with another video. And let's go ahead and get right into it. This one is actually something that just happened today. This is live. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he was running for president for the Republican Party, but seems like not many people were fond of him and his policies, which he's a very outspoken guy, so I don't understand why nobody liked him. But I liked him. I wish that he was the one that was in Trump's place right now, but I guess everybody preferred him. Whatever. But he did the unthinkable. A homie said, you know what? Instead of all of this hate that's happening in the world right now, we got to figure it out. This whole thing that he had going on. So homie decided to go to Ohio himself, start a town hall, essentially, just so that the world can see live. If you missed it, here's going to be snippets of it. I'm going to show snippets of it, especially pertaining to the Ohio situation. Not because a lot of them started to talk about, world stuff and America stuff and election and stuff like that. But I want this to be pertaining to the Ohio situation. Yo, let me just say this, guys. Like this video, so that other people can see who Vivek Ramaswamy is, and to see what the people in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, is saying. I normally say to like the video at the end, but I want you guys to like the video now so that more people can see this video, so that they can see exactly what's going on in Ohio. So go ahead, like this video. He decided to have a town hall so that we could find a way to bring unity. It's crazy because he was saying that this town hall, the venue itself, was supposed to hold 300 people, and he had like some 2,000 people that signed up. So he had to shut the door on a lot of people. And of course, with the migrants, probably more than likely not knowing exactly what's going on or found out late, it seems like none of the migrants are here. But the people that live here, that honestly, they're the ones that have the concerns. I guess Vivek kind of speaks on their behalf, and he does a fabulous job. Based off of everything that I've been hearing, out of everything that's been said, the pet eating, that part is false. It's been false. All of y'all can say, oh, it's true. No, I don't know. Nobody has said anything about pets. Ducks and geese, that's a different story. But again, that's not the problem. The problem is a whole different culture just got plopped right into Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, and it's been causing a lot of issues. So Vivek is here trying to bring in that unity. Since there's no Haitians that are here, he's speaking on their behalf, and he does a fabulous job. And I really appreciate him trying to bring in that unity, trying to get everybody to find not solace in everything that's going on, but, look forward instead of looking at the situation and, trying to make the best of what's going on. And he just does a great job. Honestly, he is a great nominee. I don't know why people didn't want to vote for him, but no, this guy right here, he's legit. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Thank you for coming. A couple months, I'll be a resident of Springfield.
And also this stream, I was nervous the whole time because the stream was very choppy. It kept on lagging. It kept on dropping a couple of times throughout the beginning. But as time progressed, they managed to get it situated. The frames did drop every now and then, but you were still able to get it. So it's probably very low now. It'll start to clear up later on.
Clark County for 61 years. If our city council and everybody wants to be a part of the solution, I'm just sitting right there by the door. I haven't seen a single one of them come in here.
I put out a tweet. I said, I'm going to Springfield. Thursday was the first day I could be free to get here. But I under-anticipated. There's 2,000 RSVPs, and we only had space for 350 people. So to the extent somebody couldn't get in, in a town of 60 to 70,000 people, that says a lot. But regardless, if people couldn't get in, that's on me.
Ramaswamy, thanks for coming tonight. Definitely appreciate it. So prior to the arrival of our immigrants, we were suffering from, as many American cities have, and we continue to suffer with the drug epidemic and homelessness among other issues that's plaguing our city and the country. And now with having an additional 15 to 20,000 new residents in such a brief period, our already burdened sectors of government, private, and public resources are now critically overwhelmed. President Trump vowed to do, quote, large deportations from Springfield, Ohio. But like you said earlier, most, if not nearly all of the immigrants here are here legally. So the notion of deporting all of them and then everything will be okay is not based in reality. So my question to you is this: what realistic plans can you, President Trump, and Congress produce for Springfield and cities like Springfield to be able to adapt and thrive for all of us, both citizens and immigrants?
I appreciate your thoughtful question. I don't agree with 100% of it, but still are able to ask tough questions. I like that. So I'll say something here. First of all, is the most important part of your question is we can fall into a trap, and I don't want to see us fall into this, is there are real problems that we need to address in this country that actually have nothing to do with immigration as well. And I think that we can sweep a lot of that under the rug. Those are failures of our elected and increasingly unelected leaders of the country that we got to address by way of economic growth in this country, wage stagnation in this country. You think about even workforce training and preparedness for the changing economy, our reliance on China for our modern way of life. These are big issues even outside of the specific immigration and mass migration issues. So part of your point is we can't sweep all that under the rug and just blame it on immigrants. I agree with you, actually. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. How are we going to achieve mass deportations? Well, first of all, you got anybody who's committed a crime in this country, anybody who is actually currently detained. That's an easy set of deportations right out the gate. You're talking about millions of people that fit those two categories together. That alone would be the largest mass deportation in American history. The next thing you got to do is, it's like you got a clogged drain, right? What do? First thing you do is you turn off the faucet. You don't try to clean the drain while you leave the faucet on. Use our military to secure the border. Use the National Guard if necessary. Aquatic barriers in the Rio Grande. And yes, complete the construction of the wall, which is not a racist or xenophobic action. Think about it like your body, right? Violation of your consent. A nation's body is its land. No migration without consent, number one. Number two, consent should only be granted to migrants who benefit the United States of America. And number three is those who enter without consent shall be removed. And if anybody wants to disagree with me on that, that's fine. We can debate that. But I haven't met an American who actually disagrees with those three principles. So if we all agree on it, the country that put a man on the moon can get this job done. It's just a question of actually having the will to do it. Thank you.
So the thing about this situation is, and this is the thing that a lot of people may say that, oh, that's racism or xenophobic or whatever the case may be. And I was supposed to be doing another video about this, but I had to bring this up first because I wanted to be the first one to do this. Anyways, so when it comes to this type of situation where you have people that's coming from a whole different country coming into your country, just imagine you trying to do this in Russia, trying to do American stuff, traditions and culture in Russia, in China, in Korea. Everybody's going to look at you. Would they not do the same thing? So obviously, the people that live in other countries assimilate to their culture, to their traditions, because you're living in their country. Why would you think that you're just going to sit here and do whatever you did in your country over there? It doesn't make sense. So likewise, again, not to sit here and say that the Haitians are just coming in and bringing their culture. If that's the case, I mean, honestly, the way that it seems like they're just getting the Haitians and just dropping them here. They're not being assimilated into the culture, not being assimilated into America, learning the traditions and or whatever, lack thereof, and being able to really live and understand how to live out here. No, they're just being dumped here. That's not okay.
I saw an article, I think it was Epic Times, where they were talking about there are 5 companies who want these Haitians here to be workers. There is a massive Amazon fulfillment center being built down, I think, at the south end of South Charleston. I'm sure a lot of these people are being brought in for that as well. If these companies, these big companies, need these people, why are they not paying their way to get them here and house them? Especially Bezos, he's got plenty of money. If he needs those people, we've got some greedy landlords putting out long-term renters who are going to, a lot of them end up on the streets. They're getting rich, putting 20 migrants in a house. They're getting $200 per migrant in these houses.
The answer to that is the current administration is paying for them. Why would Bezos do it when the current government is doing it? Ain't no shame in Bezos' game. Bezos is probably a part of it. Why do you think Bezos is for the Democrats? Why do you think majority of Amazon is for the Democrats? I don't know. I mean, it's just a thought. I would have thought that Tesla, what's his name? You see, it shows how much I care about him. But Tesla, man, I would have thought that he would have benefited from the Democrats, considering they're trying to go all energy. Everybody gets a Tesla. It would make sense. He'd make way more money. But no, he's going Republican because he's not for the nonsense.
And the long-term renters that pay $700 to $900 are out on the street. How do we stop that?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of this comes from, I think, special currying in favor to industries that manage to lobby for advantages to them. One of the things is, even in the legal immigration system, people don't talk about this. Even actually the immigrants who are left holding the bag. So the H-1B system, for example, you can't even switch companies. You're attached to just the company that brought you.
You got to stay with that
company.
company.
You know who lobbied for that? The very companies who got the advantage from the law in the first place. So I think this is one of those cases where, and here I've heard tales of the ways in which these companies are actually subsidized particularly. I want to get to the bottom of those facts. But if we end lobbying in the federal government, I think that actually solves half of this problem. To say if you've served in Congress or served in the Senate or served as a bureaucrat, for at least 10 years you can't lobby that same government, half of this melts away right there. And so fix the corruption. Half the problem is that government's actually responsive to the people of this country again. Thank you for that question.
I'm a little concerned about the topic of this conversation, the dialogue for unity, because I think one thing we should be united on, there simply are too many mass migrants here in this town. And they're too richly subsidized. It's pushing people out of their homes. It's pushing people out of jobs. I know there's employers that say they need the employees. Amazon's just fired hundreds of people to replace them with migrant workers. So we need less migrants in this town. We can't absorb them. We need to take some of that money that's being given to them and give that to people in the community who've been harmed by this.
Let me ask you a question. What do you believe should be the criteria for the kinds of immigrants or migrants that Springfield should want to keep versus the criteria for Springfield to want to expel, or not allow in the future? What would be your perspective on it?
I mean, if it was up to me, we'd start all over. We'd send them away and start all over because they were brought in without our consent. You know, some people were getting rich off of it, but it's harmed the rest of us. If there are people who are working and these are honest jobs, fine. If they're here, just again, they're taking up Social Security. 20,000 people here, and from our former state senator said that they are getting an average of $600 to $1,600 a month in Social Security. So to say it's an average of 1,000 and say there's truly only 20,000 here, that's $20 million a month being spent in one county just to subsidize these people, and that's driving other people out of their homes. We could take that money, like I said, give it grants to businesses so they can modernize. Instead of bringing in migrants to work low-wage jobs, let's make the high-wage jobs, and let's train our kids to take those jobs. That would cost a lot less than $20 million a month.
What's your name, my man?
Bill Monaghan.
Bill?
Yeah.
I appreciate your thoughtful perspective. I'll give you mine here, all right? Because I think that this is so the situation is so broken, the status quo, that I think it's pretty coherent to say, you know what, just start with a blank slate and start over. Here's my view on it, is that there's a dishonesty to the current program and the justification for it. And here's the dishonesty I'm talking about, right?
What he's about to mention is very interesting because, again, I was supposed to do this in my other video, but had to do this first. I'm aware of the TPS. I have family. My wife has family that's here under the TPS. This TPS was set in place for Haitians who were displaced because of the earthquake that happened in Haiti and because of all the stuff that's been happening in Haiti. They're losing their presidents, increasing gang violence and stuff like that. It was supposed to be to seek refuge. So in order to do that, somebody from America had to sign off for one person or one family. I think it's just one person, honestly, in Haiti so that they can come here under them. How is it that all these migrants are coming out of nowhere and then being displaced into one city? or several cities by the masses with no guidance on how to live here. Well, how does that work? That was my big confusion. That's why I thought that there's no way that it could have been the same method of coming into America as my relatives, because they seem to just be dropped in Ohio. My family wasn't dropped anywhere. They live with my other relatives because they're the ones that brought them here. They work, and now they don't get government assistance because they work. So I'm confused as to how all this is happening in Ohio. But again, as the administration's doing.
It's usually an economic justification for a program that actually was not economically motivated in its first place. So the program I'm talking about, many of you are I've been surprised talking to people in Springfield today how knowledgeable people are on the actual legal details even. But the program I'm talking about is Temporary Protected Status, TPS, okay? It was designed as a humanitarian program largely used after the earthquake in Haiti in 2010. And I think it is beyond bizarre that we should somehow assume that all of those people organically just decided to come to Springfield, Ohio. I mean, I love Springfield, Ohio, don't get me wrong, but I think that most of them on the CBP One app, which is what they use to come into the country, check Chicago, Miami, New York. I don't think Springfield is on the list. So I think that that's also a separate question, which I'm open to taking some questions and comments on. That I think that there's been some hard questions asked about exactly what the heck is going on there. But in response to that, I'm not in favor of necessarily throwing the baby out with the bathwater, in the sense that if you have somebody that came in 20 years ago there's a whole range of other countries too. I mean, people who are maybe a doctor in the community who trained in the right way, came legally, that'd be one thing. But if somebody came here through temporary protected status, which is a humanitarian program, and now you're using an economic justification to keep them, that's dishonest. So that's dishonesty. And I think we got to at least be honest and speak the truth. And the T in temporary protected status means something, right?
Temporary.
It stands for temporary. So all I would say is if you want to bring people to the country economically because it's going to benefit the citizens of the United States, pass that through Congress, make the justification, and say how it helps Americans who are already here, and do it honestly through the front door. But don't do it through the back door, because that's just dishonest and erodes public trust in our system and in our government. And I think it's another example of our government systematically lying to us. So that's where I land on it. Thank you.
We have city officials that live right here in Springfield and have not set up a meeting like this for Springfield. You said your tickets were free, right?
Yes, they are. We're not making money tonight.
Okay, listen to me. But why can't this...
This is not a paid event by no means. Nobody paid to come here. It is all free. He came here for the people, to figure out what's going on, to hear from their mouths themselves. If this was really important, if there was really cat eaters, if that was their biggest concern, there would have been plenty of people complaining about cats and geese and all that stuff. But here they're talking about the bigger issue. So everybody, like this video, so that people can see there's a bigger issue at hand than the rumor of cats and geese being eaten. Let's try to leave that joke alone, because honestly, it's getting real old.
City officials, I'm serious. Why can't the city officials do this? Go to the north, south, east, and west of Springfield, maybe get people that want to come, and find out what they're really living circumstances. And here's why. We're paying for those, right? I have Haitian friends too. I know all of them are over here illegal too. But what I'm saying is, this is a community. If you want to be open about things, talk to the people. Don't just make it seem like President Trump did, like everyone's lying. They don't really know, if they're not living on that side of town, what really goes on. So how will you know about a city if you're not bringing the people together, right, and talking to them?
I'll tell you what I think is actually going on. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say it may not be very popular in this room, but I'll tell you the truth. Okay, this is what I truly believe, so I'm going to share it anyway. I know many of you may feel like your leadership doesn't care. I met with them. I don't think that's true. I think I sat there for an hour with them after we met with the Haitian group. I think they actually really do care, at least the subset I met with. And I know that's not a popular view maybe in this room. But I will tell you what I do see happening in the country. I think there's a culture of fear. I think the reason they're not here tonight is not because they don't care about this. It's because they're scared, actually. And I think that culture of fear has spread like an epidemic across our country, where actually what you really need is just transparency. You report to the people. You know, if you work in a company, how many of you anybody in here work in a company, okay? Your CEO is the boss of your company. But people mix this up. When you're in government and you're a city official or you're a mayor or whatever, your boss is actually the people who are in this room today. And it's not just the people in the city who mess that up. That's the federal government as well. And so what I hope to do today is to show that actually talking to the people of Springfield isn't that scary. The way the town council meeting, somebody came up, will be demonized for speaking about their own experience. We're live streaming this for the world to see that actually these are just good patriotic government all the way down, have let them down. And you don't have to be scared of actually being face to face with your fellow citizens. So I did my best. I can't control what they do, but I did do my best to highlight this today.
And this is the problem that I have. I'm going to put my liberal hat back on, because ever since this happened, ever since JD Vance and Trump said what they said and continuing to say what they said, I know JD Vance had mentioned that he's trying to bring up a bigger picture, a bigger issue, which is this. The problem is everybody around the world don't care about this, because literally in the comments section, they're saying send the Haitians back, a whole bunch of nasty stuff about the Haitians, all the cats and all the dogs and all the pets and all this stuff. That's not what they're hearing. They're hearing what JD Vance and Trump were saying about cats, dogs, pets being eaten and bringing in that fear. And again, this is the Trump that I knew from 2016, the Trump that brung in fear, and that's just riling up people's emotions in a negative way. And I do not like that. He was doing good up until this point. It seems like this is what he's going to run with until election time. And this is what I do not like about Trump. This is what I don't like about JD Vance. I don't know if JD Vance realizes that it was a mistake. He was trying to get a bigger picture. But to me, you took a big risk, and now it's causing a lot of hate on a specific group of people. And this is kind of the same thing that was happening in 2016. There was a lot of hate that was spewing forth with a lot of white people were getting very bold in their language, really taking freedom of speech to like the utmost level, to where it's like, yes, you can say whatever you want, but then some people were like, black people was actually starting to get a little afraid of white people, because they was getting riled up to where they felt like, yo, they might actually do something. You may not think that, but based off of the stuff, again, that I've seen, the way that they reacted, that's what I was seeing. As of recently, I hadn't seen it that much, but now it's back. So let's go back into it. Yeah, that fear, not with it. But again, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's trying to get rid of that fear. He's trying to bring in that unity. That's why I love this guy.
But the city officials, and I agree with you, I don't think all of them are that, but forget about the fear factor. People are hurting.
I agree with you.
And to be honest with you, I came up here for one reason. Hopefully they hear me. People were afraid of me. The workers that I work were afraid of me because I was different, and they would tell me that after they became friends. I don't want to hear this fear factor, right? People are hurting. People are living in conditions that people don't know about at the official level because they don't live with those people.
Yeah. So that the rest of the country can hear you. Is Springfield a racist city?
To be honest with you, there are people there, but after they get to know you, that's gone.
Yeah,
I live where.
So it's a lot of prejudice, not really racist prejudice. There's a big difference between two.
There wasn't a lot of blacks over there, right? People were afraid when we moved in the neighborhood, okay? All my kids, 3 with masters, or 2 with masters, bachelors and everything, but they had block parties where everybody in the community around there for blocks around came and had parties and talked. The kids played with each other. Kids don't have fear. It's the adults that have fear. So that's what I would say. If I would say anything, do a big thing. We got the fairground, we got Snyder Park, we got the reservoir. Bring everybody together, and I guarantee you Haitians would come. But then you talk with them. Listen, you're going to have bad in every race. Forget it. Let's be real, right?
Thank you.
There's not one that doesn't have a nut in the tree someplace, and that's just the truth. That's the truth.
Speaking spin facts,
So bring them all together, and then make the Haitians feel welcome. But they also have to learn our culture, and the biggest thing is
that's the biggest thing. They have to. There isn't no maybe. If they're gonna live here, they have to.
the biggest biggest thing is they don't know how to drive. They don't. I know. Because where they practice at is a church that I did attend. Yeah. And they run into stuff, but they don't mean to. Because guess what? The culture where they came from is not our culture, and our culture is not there. We have to learn. But if everybody's so fearful, just leave Springfield and put somebody that's not fearful. That's what I would say.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My name is Brock Inge. I've lived in Springfield 28 years, all my life, pretty much. Since this story leaked, and this is something that everyone needs to hear, the hateful language in this community has spiked. It's really, really bad. I'm half black. I'm half Hungarian. I'm half black, half white, whatever you want to say. I've become a target of the hate. I can probably count on my hand, both hands, how many times a racial slur has been said my whole life. I've been called the N-word twice this week by just people who group me. It happens. Even though my skin may be lighter, I think people just group us together. There's horror stories of people who are darker skinned that have been chased down by people who are white, saying, get out of this country, friends of mine, friends of friends, and say, like, get out of here, you're Haitian, we don't want you here, even with the 6-month-old baby at a grocery store. So regardless, I find it shameful and I find it inappropriate whether I'm Haitian or American. What would you say to my fellow people here in the community in regards to this rhetoric? I don't think it can be tolerated.
I'm in the camp of long-standing believing that the United States of America is not a racist country and the least racist country known to mankind. I have never experienced that type of invidious racism growing up. But I also want to speak a hard truth here, because there's something going on in the country right now. When I say right now, I'm talking like the last 9 to 12 months in this country. There is a weird uptick in racial tension in this country that did not exist in the 30 years that I grew up right here in Southwest Ohio. And I'll tell you what's going on, because this gets to the essence of what's going on in this country and bothers me. Take the immigration issue. You take 20,000 people who are unprepared to integrate into a community, dump them into a city of 50,000, you're going to get a reactionary response. Then you demonize the people who have the reactionary response, who say, oh, you're blaming me. They're going to have ill will, in this case, towards the Haitian community. On the racial point, let me mention this too, because I see this happening. There's no better way to create racism in America, anywhere, than to take something else away from someone's family because of their skin color. So whether it's a seat in college, or whether it's a job, or now even forms of federal aid under the likes of Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris, say that you only get certain forms of aid. If you're a racial minority, if you're black or Hispanic, that actually creates more racial animus in response. And so this is what I think many people on the right sometimes miss, which is that, are these anti-racist programs, are they racist against whites or Asians? They are, but actually it's not just that it's racist against whites and racist against Asians. It is literally fueling a new wave of anti-black racism in the country that otherwise would not have existed if it weren't for those woke anti-racist policies in the first place. It is divide and conquer. It's the media. The media is throwing kerosene on this. And so here's what was happening. It's like the final embers of racism were burning out in America. And then they're throwing kerosene on it all over again. It is a divide and conquer strategy. They want to divide us on ourselves. And you know who it's up to make sure they can't get away with that? It's up to us. It's up to we the people to say hell no to that vision. You will sell us this myth that we're divided. You're going to try to pit us against each other. But you know what? We the people who are citizens of the United States of America are the people who we actually elect a government to represent, and all of us are American, regardless of our race or creed, and that's what made this country great the first time around, and that's how we're going to make this country great again.
This one was good. Again, another issue that happened, issues that they've talked about that's been happening, but there's nowhere in the media. There's nowhere in the media. They're just talking about cats and geese, but they're not going to talk about this.
Sure. And one of my daughter is younger, so I want to talk about the crime a little bit.
Sure.
Personal crime. So she's been followed around Walmart. She's been stalked. She ran to her car, threw her stuff down, ran to her car. She was chased. Okay? They were immigrants. She was chased by a man with a machete on her way to work. Called the police. She told them what had happened and wanted to file a report. 2 hours later, the police still had not called her back and never checked on the crime. So that's how you know there's no crime in Springfield, because no one's reporting it.
It's uncomfortable to say this, but it's true. If your first act of entering the country breaks the law, then you're more likely to break the law when you're already here, right? And this is, I don't like just talking about the easy issues. Let's talk about the hard issues. I mean, they hit President Trump a lot for the so-called, the one they really tried to nail him for was the family separation policy, right?
Right.
Anybody in this room know how many mothers in the United States of America are in prison right now? It's about 350,000, actually. And yes, I have a book coming out next week, and I've got a Fox Nation special coming out next week. It's called Truths. Lays out a lot of these hard truths. That's one of the truths. It's a hard truth. It's about 350,000 mothers who are in prison. You know who we don't make them take with them? We don't make them take their kids.
Their children.
Right?
Yeah, they're all loved
And we
ones.
say that, that's a difficult situation, but you deal with it in a different way. And so I think we have to restore the culture of the rule of law in this country. In this town alone, double the number of shoplifting crimes in the last 2 years. 2 years is not a long time for shoplifting rates to double. Auto thefts are up by over 50% in that same time frame. And as you said, based on your daughter's story, that's against the backdrop of many of them likely even going unreported. We got to restore that culture of the rule of law, but part of the reason we're seeing this too is that many illegal immigrants into this country, many other criminals in this country, when they see the top law enforcement agencies in the United States of America themselves not following the law, then they rightly ask the question, well, why the heck should I have to follow the law anyway? So top to bottom and bottom to top, we have to restore the rule of law in the United States. It's who we are, and that's how we save this country. So I appreciate that. I'm glad your daughter's safe. Thank you for sharing the story. Appreciate it. Tell her to stay safe too. Thank you.
And that's one of the weird things that seems to be happening. It seems like, again, they're not calling it. And that's one of the things that I was thinking. These police officers must not be reporting a lot of these cases. That's why they're able to say, oh, yeah, there's nothing going on in Ohio. Because they're not being reported. If they say that it's an immigrant or it's a Haitian or something like that, I feel like the protective service is almost damn near immunity. There was a situation where my wife was at Walmart and she was driving, and there was a truck that was in front of her, and they backed into her in the parking lot, mind you. And they backed it. They were reversing. It's not like they were reversing out of a parking stop. They were in the lane and they were reversing backwards. How they didn't see my wife's car? Not a clue, but apparently they didn't. Got hit, called the police. Turns out they were Venezuelan. They had no ID, no license, nothing, no information on the car, no license plate, and they couldn't even identify the car. But what happened? Nothing happened to them. They were just able to leave. Police officer was like, well, it's on private property, so we can't do nothing. But didn't even do anything in regards to the situation. So to me, I'm hearing these situations here in Ohio, and it's like, okay, yeah, I fully believe that they're not reporting a lot of these, and that's not okay, because people, if these things are actually happening, Haitians are running around with messages, which again, I'm not going to confirm or deny that this is happening. There are Haitians out there that could be a little on the crazy side that would do that. I don't know. But what I know is there's no reason that the police shouldn't have showed up. I don't understand. Just because they're on TPS doesn't mean that they have immunity. Like Vivek was saying, if you're going to be out here and you're going to commit the crimes, you need to go back. You can't be over here. This doesn't make sense.
My question is, when the illegal immigrants are coming into not only Springfield, but throughout the country, and they get their benefits and they check a box to register to vote, that's a very big concern. What's your thinking about illegals voting?
I spoke to President Trump earlier today, and the thing about him is he says a lot of things that make sense, and sometimes the things that make sense hurt your feelings a little bit for a while, and then you got to get over it and realize that actually there's a hard fact at the heart of it. So
truth hurts.
There's this.
So get over it.
There's this statute called the SAVE Act. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, and it's this really controversial law that says that if you're going to vote, you have to be a citizen of the country. And you know what? For some reason, we just can't get that through. And actually, it's not just Democrats. I think that they have a lot of Republican reluctance around this, too, which is strange to me, I think that the reality is if we can't agree that the people who vote in the United States of America ought to actually be citizens of this country, then I think we're done, actually. But here's why I don't think we're done, actually, because most people in this country, at the level of the citizens, we the people actually agree on that. It's the managerial class, and in some ways, the bizarrely behaving elected leaders of this country that are actually betraying we the people. Now, on this, my goal here is this is not a campaign event. I wanted to come here.
And the thing, again, I hate stopping so much, but I love how he can say how weird and how deranged everything is going on that our current administration is doing without using words that can trigger somebody to think negatively of them.
The concerns of the community and to share some of my own thoughts and start a conversation that this city, I hope, benefits from. But I will say that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you do have a chance to change it. Okay, you don't like the direction of the country and the way it's going. You want to change the rules. You got to win under the current rules first. And you each have an opportunity to do that on November 5th. So do your part as a citizen. You show up and you do your part. And I promise you Donald Trump's going to do his. I'm going to do mine. And that's how we're going to have to save our country.
I've been here for 35 years here in Springfield, Ohio. As you guys, I'm a full-blown Trump supporter. I'm a full believer that he's the man that's going to save us. Do you currently think right now that the current administration is the reason we're having all this trouble currently here in Springfield, Ohio?
I do, actually. And that's actually probably the number one most important policy takeaway here. I think if you're going to run for public office at the local level or at the state level, you got to be ready to take the heat, all right? If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I do think that criticism at every level is fair. But if you want to understand where I think the real problem is, I don't think Houdini himself as a magician could have fixed a problem in Springfield if you have federal policies that are permitting millions of illegals and stretch the law to make them legals entering this country and dumping them into cities like this one. It'd be like the equivalent of sending 2 million additional people to New York City. Can you imagine that? That's the effect of sending 20,000 people to Springfield. That's a direct result of those federal policies. And again, you don't always have a chance to change it. But this time, in about 50 days, you actually do, and it's time that we actually use our chance to do it.
A little education goes a long way. These Haitians were here because of July 7th, 2021. That's what they told me. They were also told by the local governments here that they were here to help the economy. I'm being honest.
Dishonest.
That's what they told me. A lot of different Haitians have told me that. So my question to you is how can you energize this community to be more effective?
And the crazy thing is, the governor, who's a Republican, he also mentioned this when he was put live on, I forget which news station. He also mentioned that they're here, they're working, they're doing great for the economy. It's like, that's not what these people were supposed to be here for. They're supposed to be here to be refugees. I guess boosting the economy is a plus, but that's not what they're here for. They're supposed to be here to be protected from whatever issues that was going on in their country.
That we've been seeing in the media, which I don't think is happening. But how can we spread a positive message through what's going on in Springfield? Thank you.
Sure, I appreciate it. Well, I think that the truth of the matter is, while we're here in Springfield, and I'm here because I grew up near here, the city's important to me. You draw
just a delay in the video and audio.
50-mile radius around Springfield, just circle it. That's actually just a cross-section of the country. And so the other reason we're here is the story of Springfield is the story of the United States of America right now. And so how are we going to fix it? I think it starts with, first of all, overcoming that culture of fear we talked about. You're doing it today. Tell your neighbor what you actually think, not some woke-washed version of it. Seek the truth for yourself. Don't depend on cable television to serve it up for you.
Don't do it. Do your own research.
The truth of the matter is, you know what? Most people in this country are earnest, hardworking people when given the chance, still want to make the most of a better life for their own kids. The Haitians, I don't particularly, as I said earlier, if we were in their shoes, we'd be running into this country too, which says that for all of our failures, we still are the best country still left on planet Earth. But to keep it that way, we got to separate, and I use this expression, all right? I teach it to my kids. It's actually our family saying, you got to be strong enough to protect your kindness. Both of those things are important, okay? So yes, should we preserve our kindness and our charitable instincts for those who are suffering anywhere? Absolutely. But we're never, as a country, going to actually be able to do that unless we actually preserve our own strength as well. So that means saying no when appropriate, even in the face of being called a racist or a xenophobic person or transphobic or whatever it is, the next insult they'll use. Now, you got to be strong enough to say, this is what's right. For my duty as a mayor of a city, my duty is to the residents of this city. As a governor of a state, my duty is to the residents of this state. As a president of the United States, my duty is to the citizens of this nation, not another one. But to remember at every step, that's not because you were unkind. It's because you have to be strong enough to protect your kindness in the first place. And it's by remembering both of those things that we actually save this country and revive who we are. Thank you, brother.
My son is serving in the Army right now over in Germany. Problem is, he's married over there. He's going to be having a baby next month. For him to get the baby to come here to the United States and his wife, he has to do 4 more years.
Which is
but the Haitians come over here and
crazy.
get everything.
So in order for, I missed that because
For them to get their visa, their plane ticket, he has to do 4 more years.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Explain to me how that's fair. Tell me how that's fair. You're serving in the country. You have a baby that's outside the country and you're trying to get them here. You got to wait 4 years, but you got people that's not even citizens, know nothing about this country, are just coming in within days. Well, how is that fair? Doesn't make sense.
He's more than getting screwed, but this is why. Anybody aware of this? We have a 25% recruitment deficit in our own U.S. military.
What is your take on people that are doing crime? Because in our community, they posted something that said, we are not taking anyone unless it's a failure to appear or a felony or a domestic violence, and put it on the police window. So
Which
the
is
message
crazy.
that people get
What?
is you can go out and do anything, and that puts
How
our
is this
law
America?
enforcement in a bad way and our community in a bad way. So what's the solution?
Well, first thing I want to do is also recognize the fact that we're able to have this discussion here is in part possible because we got law enforcement here in Springfield today. We're protecting us. A couple of you in the back. So thank you for your service to this community. And I think part of the problem in this country is that we have handcuffed police officers' ability to actually do their jobs. We got it backwards. So here's what's going on in the country. Is at the federal level, federal law enforcement, right? The FBI, the ATF, you name it, go straight down the list of the 3-letter agencies. They're making up crimes that don't exist versus their political opponents. Donald Trump's at the top of that list, in my opinion. But at the same time, you got political belief. We used in this country.
I still don't understand why he was
The FBI has
indicted.
discriminated based on race in our national history. Today, there's discrimination based on political belief. But the problem is at the local level. So at the federal level, they're making up enforcement of laws that don't actually exist or that are unconstitutional. And at the local level, we're failing to actually enforce the laws that protect people in their communities. We got to actually fix that bottom up where the people we really need enforcing laws right now more than ever are at the local level, and tell the police officers like those here in Springfield that, you know what, we actually have your back. Don't defund the police. Actually fund and build up the police. Restore law and order in the United States of America, including in Ohio. And I'll tell you, that's not just Donald Trump's job, because most of those laws are enforced by states. And we need leaders at the state level. State legislators, governors, mayors, at every level who are actually going to stand behind the police who are enforcing their state laws. And I think we could be doing a better job in this state? I absolutely do. Do I think we could do a better job in this city? I absolutely do. I think we do. But it's going to take a culture of leaders who actually tell the police officers like those in this room, we've got your back.
And that's kind of everything that he was talking about. I don't have the link to the full video. I'm not sure if the live is going to be available. Guys, this video was to show how great of a person Vivek is, how great of a candidate Vivek is. You will not see no president. The fact that Trump didn't go to figure out the facts. He did come to Ohio, but he didn't do nothing like this. I don't know what information that he got when he actually went to Ohio, but it was nothing like this. You're definitely not going to see Kamala do something like this. Seeing that there's dispute, seeing that there's a division in a nation, but that's because their administration was the one that did this. So they're not going to go over there because they know they're going to catch all the blame. I guess it's kind of worked out in Vivek's favor, considering that, he had no part in this, but he wanted to build that unity. He wanted to bring in that unity, and literally everything that he said has tried to take the aggression, the anger, and the frustration from the Haitians, putting it where it needs to be, the people that allowed them to be there in the first place. And that was something that he even said in the beginning when he was talking to one of the guys, but I think it got cut off because it was earlier in the beginning. But he was saying specifically, look, you're white, you're black, you're American. If you were in their situation and you were given that opportunity, tell me that you wouldn't have done the same thing. And that's the part that was really bothering me when I was looking at all the comments and they were saying all the disgusting stuff that they were saying. I'm just like, yo, the Haitian has nothing to do with it, literally. And it's just crazy. It's like the real Trump supporters that are just brainless, that are just brain dead. And I'm just like, okay, now they're coming out of hiding. These are the Trump supporters that I know from 2016 that's just spewing a whole bunch of prejudice, unnecessary stuff about other nations, about other people, and just like gun-ho 100% America. When it's like, no, they're not the issue. They're doing what they were given the opportunity to do, like anybody else would that was in that situation. Doesn't mean you can sit here and just ramble on and just talk a whole bunch of smack because you're on a computer and stuff like that. Come on now. It's ridiculous. But regardless, interesting video. Yo, follow Vivek Ramaswamy. My man is the truth. For somebody that isn't born and raised in politics, you would have thought he was born and raised in politics. But a homie is doing what he thinks is best for the American people. And this was definitely something that needed to be done. So I need more people to be able to see this. So if you guys like the video, go ahead and like the video. Again, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. If you want to see more videos, go ahead and hit that bell. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.